What happens to AI stocks and our portfolios if China tries to take Taiwan? Before you buy AI stocks, there is one thing you should understand. Making money from AI now looks almost too easy, because everyone understands the basic idea. AI needs more computing power needs more advanced chips, so investors start looking at names like NVIDIA, AMD, Broadcom, ASML and TSMC. And honestly, that logic makes sense. But the problem is what sits behind it. And I am not only talking about valuation here. Yes, almost all AI stocks are already expensive, and I'll tell you what I am doing about that later in the video. But the main risk is not high stock prices. A lot of these companies depend on the same weak point in the supply chain. The most advanced chips are not made everywhere. A big part of this industry depends on a few factories, few memory suppliers, and only one island that has become one of the most important places in the world, Taiwan. So when people say AI stocks, it sounds like a clean technology story. In reality, it's also a story about geopolitics, China, export restrictions, supply chains, and a world that feels much less stable than it did 10 years ago. In the past, the biggest global race was about nuclear weapons. Now the race is about AI, and Taiwan is right in the middle of it. Look, last week I added NVIDIA to my public portfolio. I made a separate video about that decision, so you can watch it after this one. By the way, I am DP and this is durable profit. I've been living mostly from passive income for several years, and on this channel I build a public portfolio and show the decisions I make with my own money. I use that portfolio as my filter. If a stock looks interesting, I ask one simple question. Would I actually put my own money into it? Because look, we are here to make money. Everything else is just poetry. That's why before I add more AI related stocks to my portfolio, I want to understand what risk I am really buying. So in this video, I'll first show you where the main risk is hidden. Then I'll explain why even NVIDIA depends on this. After that, I'll come back to price, because to be honest, almost all AI stocks are expensive now. And in the end, I'll show what I think about buying AI stocks inside my public portfolio. The key idea is simple. You cannot just buy AI stocks and hope. You need a strategy. You need to understand the risk. And in many cases, you need to build a strong wall around your portfolio. I mean, you need a hedge. That is exactly what I am doing in my portfolio, and I'll show you how I do it and how I think about it. So my first advice is simple. Watch this video until the end, because small details can cost you money. So let's start with a simple question. What are you really buying when you buy an AI stock? At first, it looks obvious. You see cheap names like NVIDIA, AMD and Broadcom. You see big tech names like Apple, Google, Microsoft, Meta and Amazon. And of course, you see TSMC and ASML. It feels like there are many different ways to invest in the AI boom. But for my portfolio, I don't want just a list of exciting tickers. I want to know what can break the story. And when I look at AI this way, one thing becomes very clear. Many of these companies need the same thing, advanced chips. NVIDIA, AMD and Broadcom are close to the chip layer. They design or sell key hardware for AI. But design is not enough. Someone still has to make the chips. Then look at big tech. Apple needs advanced chips for Apple Silicon and for more AI inside its devices. Microsoft has Azure and exposure to OpenAI. Amazon has AWS and exposure to Anthropic. Google and Meta are also pushing AI deeper into their products and platforms. These companies are not all cheap companies, but they all need computing power. And computing power needs advanced chips. So when you follow the road behind many of these AI stories, you keep coming back to one name, TSMC. TSMC is also known as Taiwan Semiconductor, and this company manufactures many of the most advanced chips in the world. This is where it gets uncomfortable. TSMC is based in Taiwan, so you can buy NVIDIA, AMD, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Amazon and TSMC and feel like you are diversified. But if the road keeps ending in Taiwan, maybe you are not as diversified as you think. Different stocks can still hide the same weak point. But for example, ASML is a little different, and for European investors, ASML is especially interesting because it's a Dutch company and one of the most important companies in the global chip industry. ASML makes the machines that advanced chip factories need. So, in a serious Taiwan crisis, ASML could be hit first. The whole chip industry could freeze for some time. Factory projects could be delayed. Orders could slow down and investors could panic. But later ASML could also benefit, because if the world wants to continue the AI race after a Taiwan shock, it will need more advanced factories outside Taiwan. And those factories will need advanced machines. So ASML is not a simple story. It could suffer first and benefit later. And later in the video we will talk about hedging this kind of risk. For now, the key point is simple. Taiwan risk doesn't mean I should avoid every AI stock, but it does mean I shouldn't buy them blindly. So before I add more AI related stocks to my portfolio, I want to separate them into three groups. Which companies give me real AI upside? Which companies repeat the same hidden risk? And which companies could help protect my portfolio if something goes wrong? That's the filter, and the easiest place to start is NVIDIA, because I already own it. For me, NVIDIA goes into the first group. It gives me direct AI upside. That's why I bought it. And honestly, it's not hard to understand the bull case. When people think about AI chips, they think about NVIDIA. A huge part of the AI infrastructure story is built around its chips, its software, and demand from the largest tech companies in the world. But here is the part I don't want to ignore. Even NVIDIA still depends a lot on TSMC for its most advanced chips. So when I bought NVIDIA, I didn't buy a risk-free AI machine. I bought direct AI upside, but I also accepted Taiwan risk. That's the important difference. And this is why I made a separate video about that decision. In that video, I explained not only why I added NVIDIA to my public portfolio, but also how I worked with the risk. I don't want to repeat the whole NVIDIA video here, because this video is about the bigger picture. But if you want to see that full decision, you can watch that video after this one. For this video, the key point is simple. NVIDIA gives me direct AI exposure, but it doesn't protect me from the risks we just discussed. So the next question is, what should I own around NVIDIA? I need to think about protection. How do I protect my portfolio if the AI story is right, but Taiwan risk becomes real? In a few minutes we will talk about the practical side. But before that, I want to say a few words about valuation, or in simple words, price. Because even if the business is excellent, the price still matters. And almost all AI stocks are expensive now. This is where many investors can make a very expensive mistake. Because AI is not a secret anymore. Everyone knows about chips, data centers, and NVIDIA. So when you buy many AI stocks today, you are buying a story that many investors already understand. That doesn't mean these stocks cannot go higher. Of course they can, but the price already expects a lot. The company doesn't just need to grow, it needs to grow enough to justify the price. And sometimes even good results are not enough. The business can still be strong and the stock can still fall. That's the uncomfortable part. You can be right about AI and still lose money on the stock, at least for some time. Because a lot of future growth may already be inside the price. That's why almost all AI stocks are expensive now, and that's why I don't want to chase every AI name. Before I buy, I want to ask one simple question. What needs to happen for this stock to work from today's price? If the answer is almost everything has to go perfectly, then I need to be careful. Sometimes I can still buy, but with a smaller position. Sometimes it's better to wait, and sometimes I need a different way to get AI exposure. But I don't want to pretend that price doesn't matter. A great company can still be painful investment if I pay too much. And now we can move to the practical side. AI can keep growing, but I still need a portfolio that can survive high prices and Taiwan risk. So the next question is practical. How do I protect it? And this is where hedging comes in. For me, hedging is simple. Because I already own NVIDIA, my portfolio has direct AI exposure. The next step is to make this exposure more balanced. If I buy more AI-related stocks, I want them to add something useful around NVIDIA. Otherwise, I can buy many different tickers and still own the same weak point. Let's start with memory. AI needs huge amounts of memory, so I want to look at companies like Micron and Samsung. Then there is the chip manufacturing outside Taiwan. The United States wants more chip production at home, and Intel is one of the main American bets in that direction. The US government is putting serious money behind domestic chip manufacturing. Intel is not an easy story. The company still has a lot to prove, but for Taiwan risk, Intel is important to watch. Samsung also fits this idea because it has both memory and chip manufacturing. At the same time, Samsung has its own risks, including Korea risk and strong competition. ASML sits on another level. If the world builds more advanced factories outside Taiwan, those factories will need advanced machines. ASML makes those machines, but ASML can suffer if chip spending slows down or if export restrictions become worse. So I am careful with all of these names. Micron and Samsung can give me memory exposure. Intel and Samsung can give me manufacturing exposure outside Taiwan. And ASML can give me exposure to the machines behind new factories. For me, these are possible pieces around NVIDIA. And by the way, I am really interested in your view here. If you had to choose only one hedge for Taiwan risk, would you choose Intel, Samsung, Micron or ASML? Write your answer in the comments. And here is the important point. A hedge should make the portfolio stronger, not just the list of tickers longer. Before I add more money to this area, I want to understand the role of each stock. If I add something to the public portfolio, I'll explain why I'm adding it, what role it has and what risk I'm trying to control. So let's imagine the worst case scenario. China tries to take Taiwan. The market panics. AI stocks fall because investors suddenly see the weak point in the supply chain. But here is the important part. The AI race doesn't stop. The United States, Europe and big tech still need advanced chips. So the world has to find a way to build more chip production outside Taiwan. That is where this becomes practical for investors. That's why names like Intel, Samsung, Micron and ASML matter to me. They may be less exposed to TSMC than many big tech names. Of course, these stocks can also fall during the first panic. This is not magic protection. But if the world starts rebuilding and duplicating chip production, some companies may benefit from that new cycle. So we already have part of the answer. If a Taiwan crisis happens, and if the first investor panic slowly calms down, we can partly understand which companies may benefit after the panic. But now I want to make this practical for today. How do I prepare my portfolio before this scenario happens? That is what I am going to work on inside my public portfolio. I already have NVIDIA in the portfolio. Now I need to decide what kind of protection I want around it. So if you watch this far, I really respect that. Most people only look at the hype. You are looking at the risk behind the hype, and that already makes you a more serious investor. So if you want to see how I build my portfolio, including the AI part, subscribe and turn on notifications. The next public portfolio update may be very important. And if this video helped you see AI stocks from a different angle, hit the like button. And just to be clear, this is not financial advice. On this channel I show what I do with my own money and how I think about risk. But I'm not telling you what to buy or sell, you have to make your own decisions. So, I'll see you in the next video, if of course you subscribed and turned on notifications. Study investing, apply what you learn, gain experience and build your capital over time. And don't forget one important thing. We are here to make money. Everything else is just poetry.